Okay, welcome to the very first video where we're gonna cover how the Vlookup function works and basically what is a Vlookup function. Yeah, because it might sound a little bit confusing for now. But as mentioned, just for simplicity, we were provided with all these data. It could be thousands of rows and columns in your case, but just for a short example, we were provided this table that contains our employee information, where they are located, where they work, and how many hours they have worked and how many weekly projects they have completed. So the very first task that we've been assigned is to find the aggregate salary per employee and the average cost. Obviously we know that we're gonna pay our employees based on the hours they have worked. So in this table we have to fill up and populate it with the hours they have worked. One way to do it is the traditional way. We see that we need data for Emma. We come here, we look for Emma right here. How many hours? 44. Okay, next one is Jackson. Let's go for Jackson. Down here it says 31. Yes, exactly. This could take forever. And it could be such a tedious process if you're dealing with large sums of data. But also this is very risky because it leaves room for human error. If we get tired of doing this, we might make a mistake and overpay or underpay one of our employees in this case. So here is when the Vlookup function comes into play and simplifies our lives by automating that process with just a few clicks. So the very first thing, or the very first introduction, is what is a Vlookup function? It has a weird name, but what does it stand for? The V is going to stand for vertical, and lookup is going to be lookup. It's as simple as that. So what we're saying is we're having a vertical lookup. Okay, once we do equals Vlookup, Excel is going to ask for three main inputs or three main variables that we have to enter, and I have taken a screenshot and placed that down here. The very first one is we need to provide the Vlookup value. What does that mean? Or the question I ask myself in my head is, what am I looking for? Okay, and that's what we have to give Excel in return. The second variable, it's gonna be the table array. So the question I ask myself is, where from? What am I looking for? Once I determine that, now where from? Where am I looking for that thing that I'm looking for? That's kind of confusing, but that's the way it is, okay? And then we have the column index number, which basically is asking, what do I need in return? Once I find that thing that I was looking for, what do I do with it? What do you want in return? Okay, so this example is asking to determine how many hours each employee has worked. You may say you can just simply copy and paste it, but we've demonstrated that could take forever simply because the order in which these employees have been laid out differs from the data that we have. Basically this one is ordered in alphabetical order and this one is just randomly assigned. Okay, so we're gonna come here and use the Vlookup function. We do equals Vlookup, and as mentioned, very first question, it's gonna be, what am I looking for? I am looking for the employee in this case. We're gonna put a $sign here just in case. Comma. Now the second question, where from? Where do I look for that employee? So I come to my data and I say, look for that employee here, and I select the whole table. Okay. Something very important when working with the Vlookup function is right here when we select the table, we must enter F4 just to make that an absolute value, meaning the table will not change. once I copy that formula for different cells and different columns. Okay, the third variable as discussed is the column index, or what we said, what do we need in return? Once I come here and once I find Josh, then what do I do? What do you want in return? And as mentioned, we're looking for the hours Josh has worked. So we're gonna come here and tell Excel, I need this number. I need that 48. I need to know Josh has worked 48 hours. So the way we display this is based on the table that we've selected. We're gonna count the columns to see where does this variable or the hours worked fall under. We're gonna start with 1, column 2, then we have column 3, column 4, column 5, and column 6. Now we know that if we wanna get in return the hours that our employees have worked, we have to look for that in column 5. So as mentioned, we're just gonna come here and say column 5. Oops, I don't know what this is. We just do column 5 and then comma. What are we looking for? An exact match. Enter. And now we know that Emma has worked 44 hours. The beauty of this is that we can just drag this down all the way to Sophia, and we get all the hours that each of our employees have worked, and it's been automated. There is no human error in this, and it was a very simple process rather than doing it manually. So just to sum up what's going on here, let me erase this super quick. And what we're saying is, with the very first variable that we provide, we're saying I need you to look. Remember, the first question was what do I need? What am I looking for? So we're saying I'm looking for this. I'm looking for the employee names. Now the second question is where? We're gonna be looking for those in all this table. Okay. And the third question is, once I find this, what do you want in return? We said we needed column 5. So you say, once I find Noah, I want to know what he's got in return in column 5. That is how the Vlookup function thinks. Okay. Now we could simplify this if we wanted to into just one combined formula, because for the aggregate salary we just have the hours our employees have worked times the hourly rate of 20 bucks. But we could simplify this into just one formula. If we copy this Vlookup function, we're gonna get the 44 hours. We can multiply this directly times the hourly rate. We make that an absolute value so it won't change, and we get an error. Let's see what happened. Let me erase this real quick. 44. Oh, there we go. Okay, we could drag this down all the way down. Great. You see, it's the same results, same values, but just in one simple formula. So we could get rid of these two columns. Now, what happens if we don't want the hours that Emma has worked or that Jackson have worked, but we want to know how many projects they have completed? All we would need to do is make a minor adjustment, and is determine which column we want in a return. As mentioned, we have column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now what we're looking for is going to be located in column number 6. So we just come here, we can copy this formula, we come to projects completed. We are still getting the hours that Emma has worked, but that's because we're getting the data back from column 5. So we just replace that for a 6, enter, and we know that Emma has completed 3 projects that week, and so forth. And then we can determine the average project cost for Emma's work that week. Okay, I hope this made sense on how the Vlookup function works and the ways you could think of the inputs you have to enter. But for our next project, we're gonna complicate it just a little bit more by changing the hourly rate. What happens if we don't have a fixed hourly rate? What happens if the hourly rates differ per department? How could we use the Vlookup function in that scenario? Okay, so please join me for my next video. I hope all of this made sense. If not, please send me some questions and I'll address them whenever I can. Thank you for watching.